In this tutorial, I'll show you how to use Intel's new Open Image Denoiser that will be included in the future versions of Blender. Blender version 2.81, used in this tutorial, is an experimental alpha build. The alpha build means it won't be as stable as the current Blender 2.8 version. We can only test the new denoiser using this unstable, but useful 2.81 alpha build. I'll post a link to download Blender 2.81 alpha build that contains the new denoiser, in the description below. The image on the screen is the final render of a high-resolution image the new denoiser was tested upon. I'll show you how to model, texture and render this image from scratch. We'll be using both Eevee and Cycles to render, and I'll demonstrate the advantages and the disadvantages of both render engines. Let's add curves, extra objects. Let's select torus, located under curve and curve spirals. Please change the settings like this, or use your own setting after experimenting with various options. Let's bevel the curve. Please select these 2 points and fill with F. Let's create a plane. Let me activate the screencast add-on. Let's make a light room by extruding this edge on the Z-axis. Let's go to the front view and start duplicating and rotating the torus mesh like this. We can repeat this multiple times until we get this final shape. Let's join them by using Ctrl+J. Let's add a shiny and metallic material. Let's duplicate once more. This is going to be our final render view. Let's set the render sample to 64. 50% for now. This is how the render looks like in Eevee when we're not using an HDRI image. Let's change the light type to the sun and lower the strength. Let's add the 3-point lighting. Please activate the add-on as it's already included in Blender. In order to get this quality reflection, we need to add the LookDev HDR map. It's called forest.exr. If you're not aware of how to find and use the HDR map, please watch the tutorial. I'll link in the description. Now our final render will look better than the LookDev preview mode, because we've added more lights. This render took 1 second. Let's add very high contrast to the filmic setting. Let's also use the curves like this to enhance the quality of our render. This render took 1 second as well. Let's change the render engine to the cycles. This render took 48 seconds. As you can see, cycles looks better, but it takes much longer to render. This is what happens when our sampling is set to 128 and no denoiser was applied. We can reduce the noise when we increase our sampling rate, but that will take much longer to render. Let me change the render device to GPU. Let's increase the size percentage to 100%. In Eevee, this render took 2 seconds. Let's try this in cycles. The same render took almost 3 minutes. By the way, Eevee's sampling rate is set to 64, but that shouldn't make much difference in render time. What we can do for Eevee is to add light probes reflection cube map and irradiance volume. That will help us to get the color reflection on the surfaces similar to how cycles reflect the light. Let's bake them to see what happens. Looks very ugly. Let's delete the baked data. No changes. Oops, I shouldn't have moved the camera because we're rendering a series of images. Let's reload this file to revert back to the clean state. Let's forget about the light baking for Eevee for now. Let's increase the bounce rate for the light path for cycles. This is Blender's built-in denoiser. We have this option in 2.80. Let's use this denoiser with the default setting. "3 minutes and 41 seconds. The render quality is much better. We have far less noise on the render image. Let's try the same render with 32 samples. "1 minute and 25 seconds. We have far less noise, but we can tell the bottom mesh has a low render quality issue. "46 seconds. 46 seconds. Let's use Intel's new denoiser. Please put a check mark on the denoising data. Let's go to the compositing node and put a check mark on Use Nodes. Let's add a denoiser node. We need to connect the nodes like this. Let's render the scene. 46 seconds. Because it's at the same state as the previous render. The noise is gone. The render looks identical to the 32 sample render with Blender's built-in denoiser. But the scene was rendered much faster than that setting. Let's increase the sampling rate to 64 and try again. "1 minute and 48 seconds. This was our first render done with Eevee with 50% resolution size. This render took 1 second. This is our first cycles render and it took 48 seconds. "100% size Eevee render took 2 seconds. "100% size cycles with 128 samples. Almost 3 minutes. Denoised cycles render with 128 samples. 3 minutes and 41 seconds. The same render with 32 samples. 46 seconds. With denoiser, it took 1 minute and 25 seconds. Without the denoiser, it took 46 seconds. With Intel's new denoiser, it took 46 seconds. With 64 samples, it took 1 minute and 48 seconds. I would highly recommend everyone to use the new denoiser that's going to be added to Blender's next official release. This is the end of the new denoiser tutorial. Please like and subscribe if you have enjoyed watching this tutorial. Thank you for watching.